first. The Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy celebrated its 800th anniversary in 1973, and the remarkable and beautiful bell tower remains to this day an architectural and spiritual landmark. Situated in the Piazza dei Miracoli, the Field of Miracles in central Pisa, northwest Italy, the tower began leaning but never falling soon after it was completed in the late 14th century, and is a miracle in itself. After 800 years, the tower still holds some secrets. Experts still debate whether the incline was the result of an unforeseen and inevitable progressive subsidence of the ground, or whether it constituted an effect consciously desired by the architect. Finding the answer has been complicated by the fact that the bell tower is the fruit of a building project that took over 2 centuries. Rather than belonging to one individual, it was a cross-generational team effort that completed the tower. However, to this day, there are no entirely reliable clues to help answer questions related to the phases and methods of the tower's construction, or even to the identity of its first architect. To celebrate its entry into the 21st century, the Leaning Tower underwent a 12-year restoration from 1990. The first group to climb the tower since its restoration took just over 5 minutes to reach the top.
Noi siamo emozionata con questa visita perché
We're really excited by this visit.
siamo qui a Pisa e
It's our first time in Pisa, and we're really happy as there are only 10 people
soltanto 10%
and we feel like the chosen ones.
elegidas, non so come si chiama in italiano. È emozionante, realmente emozionante.
The stabilization of the tower presented the ultimate civil challenge, and for the man who headed the entire project, Michel Jamiokowski, a true miracle. The 14,000-ton structure was secured by steel cables, as soil was dug out from underneath the higher end of the tower and cement injected into the walls to make the tower stronger.
According to the expectation evaluation of the committee, the tower will have at least 300 years of life granted, at least. And even you, you are much younger than me, will be not able to verify my sentence. Okay?
Probably the most famous story to accompany the tower is that of a young scientist, Galileo, perched atop the Leaning Tower of Pisa in the 16th century, making public for the first time his work on gravity. He dropped 2 cannonballs of different weights, proving that all objects fall at the same rate. It's the kind of story that's easy to imagine, easy to remember, but whether he ever performed the experiment at the tower is debatable. The 21st century has had its pioneers. This is Ashrita Furman. Among his achievements are records for, amongst other things, the fastest mile rolling an orange with his nose, largest hula hoop, longest time standing on an inflatable fitness ball, and climbing Mount Fuji with a pogo stick.
Well, I love this. I've always wanted to come here. This is my first time in my life coming. So I had the idea that it would look very nice, a picture of the tower of the milk crates next to the Leaning Tower.
His tribute to the Leaning Tower of Pisa was to break the record for the number of milk crates held balanced on his chin for 10 seconds. He failed.
You know, I'm a little disappointed, but I tried my best. I mean, I feel like it just wasn't the day for it to happen, but I couldn't have done any better. So I have to do again. I mean, you fail and then you try again.
Thanks to the major restoration, the Leaning Tower of Pisa should stand for centuries to come. Coming up, the Sydney Opera House. The Australian flag flies high above the country's 2 most recognisable icons, the Sydney Harbour Bridge and its distinctive neighbour, the Sydney Opera House. In 2007, the futuristic, centrally designed Opera House was given UNESCO's top honour, World Heritage status. The Sydney Opera House is an expressionist modern design. Each of its distinctive large shells is made from precast concrete and each taken from a hemisphere of the same radius, forming the roofs of the structure. The roofs of the house are covered with over 1 million glossy white and matte cream Swedish-made tiles, though from a distance the tiles look only white. Despite their self-cleaning nature, they are still subject to periodic maintenance and replacement. Although the roof structures of the Sydney Opera House are commonly referred to as shells, they are in fact not shells in a strictly structural sense, but are instead precast concrete panels supported by concrete ribs. The Opera House's construction required imagination and innovative architectural design. It is supported on 580 concrete piers sunk up to 25 metres below sea level. Electrical power is distributed by 645 kilometres of electrical cable, enough energy to power a town with a population of 25,000 people. Sydney Harbour is one of the most scenic in the world. Below its iconic neighbour, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, is Luna Park, one of the world's best located fun parks. Since the 2000 Olympics, Sydney has become one of the world's most popular tourist destinations. Nestled at the foot of the Sydney CBD, the Opera House's grand steps give a sense of approaching a building of importance. Glass is also an important element of the design. The Opera House occupies 1.8 hectares of Sydney's best real estate at Bennelong Point. Surrounded by water and no tall buildings to dwarf it, light is plentiful. However, the journey for the now much-loved building has not always been a smooth one. In 1957, 39-year-old Dane Jorn Utzon unexpectedly won the competition for a new Opera House design, despite the fact the designs he submitted were little better than preliminary drawings. But the project was plagued by scandal. The building was weighed down by delays, and by the time of its opening in 1973, the costs had soared 1,400% above the original budget. The architect left Australia in disgust in 1966. He was neither invited to the opening ceremony, nor was his name mentioned. In recent years, some steps towards reconciliation have been made. In 2003, Utzon was given one of the nation's top honours, a Companion of the Order of Australia. The same year, he was awarded Australia's top architectural prize. However, to this day, he has never returned to Australia and has never set eyes on his masterpiece. His son Jan took his place in the opening ceremony instead, saying his father lives and breathes the Opera House, and as its creator, he just has to close his eyes to see it. What determines a landmark is, like beauty, sometimes in the eye of the beholder. As we've seen several times in this series, some people want to climb them, jump off them, make them out of chocolate, or in the case of Briton Stephen Wiltshire, draw them. Stephen has been blessed with a special talent. Stephen is a savant, a type of genius living in a very private world. He did not speak a word until he was 7 years old. It was an extraordinary beginning to an artist whose books are bestsellers. He and his family sell originals, prints and calendars, highlighting his talent to reproduce in every detail anything that takes his fancy. His website is growing in popularity week by week. Stephen works with incredible speed and accuracy. This view from on top of the Rockefeller Tower is completely accurate. But most popular are his works of his hometown London. This is the environment he knows and loves the best. His last public exhibition attracted more than 40,000 visitors, and an original print for sale on his website might cost from £400 to £1,500. Today he's drawing the BT Tower in central London. He doesn't really need to stare at it for long. He has done this tower before, and the image is already set in his mind. Art critics say it is not merely his ability to replicate that is stunning, nor the speed in which he can do this, but it is also his talent in imprinting his own style into the works, an intimate style that goes far beyond draftsmanship and memory. In 2006, he was awarded an MBE, Member of the British Empire, for his services to art. An award given not because of his autism, not because of his shyness, but for his individual skill and ability as an artist in his own creative right. Stephen's family are among his greatest fans.
The work, it's very intricate. Almost like soft embroidery, if you like, and just the flow of it. You know, the pen never comes off the paper unless he needs to sharpen his pencil, or he needs to use a thicker pen just to give more depth to his drawing. But I think what makes it special is that everyone's drawn to it and amazed. Something so simple, so elegant, and makes such a difference on paper.
Stephen says he has the ability to remember what he sees in intricate detail.
So I remember those things very well. It's just I saw it from straight from the head. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know very very well. And, you know, I see it in my eyes, using my eyes and using my head.
And the good news, according to Annette, is that his best is yet to come.
The older he's become, the more intricate. In detail. You show Stephen something once and he gets it within 2-3 goes, and that's it, he's perfected it. It's the same like with his music. You may not understand the concept of it, but you know, you show him once and he can repeat it over and over again.
Coming up, the ancient city of Petra. Petra, in southwest Jordan, was one of antiquity's most influential and prosperous cities. Hewn from massive rock cliffs, the ancient trading city lies in the Great Rift Valley, about 80 kilometres south of the Dead Sea. In July 2007, Petra was named one of the new 7 wonders of the world. But like many wonders of the past, its history is shrouded in mystery. No one is sure of its age, because of the lack of written records. But what is certain is the Nabateans were technologically sophisticated. They built dams, cisterns and water conduits and grew Petra into a major international trade route. It linked India and southern Arabia with the markets of Syria, Egypt, Greece and Rome. In recent years, Jordan has suffered because of the persistent Middle East conflict. The average wage for a guide just 3 years ago was some $70 a day, a huge fortune locally. These days, they are lucky to earn anything at all. Posny, a local horse handler, wonders if, like the original inhabitants of Petra, the locals will disappear.
In Iraq, now they bring the problem Iraq, yes? Now we have big problem in Petra. No tourists, no everything, everybody not work. You have here in Petra about 20,000 person. He work with the tourists, everybody. You have here about 64 hotels. Now he's not working. Everything here in Petra now not work. All of the people stay in the home.
But it seems there are always individuals who will use the environment for their own purposes. This is the Desert Cup, an annual foot race that makes its way through some harsh terrain. Runners from Morocco, France, Denmark, Jordan, Iraq, the USA, UK and Germany are here. The athletes start their 168-kilometre race at Petra before running to the breathtaking mountains of Wadi Rum. It's tough, but the scenery is spectacular. Despite the healthy competitor numbers, organisers failed to cover the event's costs. But they are hopeful that next year the situation would be more encouraging.
The difference between the Desert Cup and other marathons is mainly the distance, because here we have 168 kilometers, and among them 104 are done in the sand. And the other difference is the site, because we are running between Petra and Wadi Rum, which are marvelous areas.
The economic downturn has seen Jordan reach out to the world. Queen Rania Al Abdullah of Jordan opened America's first comprehensive exhibit on the ancient city of Petra at New York's Museum of Natural History. Glenn Marcoe, co-curator of the Petra exhibition, says some American restoration has been carried out as part of an American gift to Jordan.
I would say that the big bust behind me, the big bust of Dushara, who is the god, chief divinity of the city of Petra, a piece that we went to great lengths to actually rescue from the rock face, the cliff face of Petra, to help preserve it for eternity. And that was a major undertaking, and that will be our gift to Jordan and for their posterity.
The exhibition featured more than 200 important objects on loan to the museum from Jordan. Petra is one of the world's most important archaeological sites, and in recent times has been one of the most visited historical sites. But like many of the great landmarks, its recent difficulties are nothing it hasn't already experienced. This is a landmark story of a different kind. It's about the maker of landmarks, God. There's no doubt when you want something done, take it to the top. And apparently that's what many people have done for generations. Hundreds of thousands of letters addressed to God, Jesus, care of Jerusalem, Israel, or to God, Jerusalem, Israel, arrive at Israel's main postal office in Jerusalem. They arrive each year from all around the world, written by people seeking divine intervention. Each envelope is cut open on its sides to make it easier to pull out the letter discreetly and insert it in the wall.
We are exposing today a unique service of the Israel Postal Authority, which deliver hundreds, sometimes thousands of letters that people have written to God or to Jesus, but address them to the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. We will take those letters into the Wailing Wall, we'll give them to the chief rabbi of the Wailing Wall, and he will put them in the stones of the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. It's an old Jewish tradition, but recently, in the last few years, we received hundreds of letters, mainly before the Jewish holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, but also before Christmas and the New Year's Eve.
Jews from around the world write proper letters or scribble down wishes on a little note which they believe ascends to God if they are placed between the cracks of the ancient stones. As the holiday season approaches, the number of letters addressed to divine recipients steadily increases. The Western or Wailing Wall is Judaism's holiest site. Jews believe the stone wall is the last remainder of the Holy Temple Mount, revered by Muslims as Haram el-Sharif. The entire complex is at the heart of a dispute between Israel and the Palestinians over control of Jerusalem. Each side wants the city as its capital. Recently, a damp patch about 40 centimetres long and 10 centimetres wide appeared on the stone face of the wall. When the spot did not dry, curious worshippers visited the outdoor plaza at the foot of the wall. Some mystics say that a sign of the Messiah's impending arrival is a weeping western wall in the days before Tisha B'Av, a 25-hour fast day which begins at nightfall on July 17. Tisha B'Av commemorates the destruction of that temple and its biblical predecessor. An archaeologist for the Israel Antiquities Authority said the wet patch on the western wall could be a leak, but the authority has yet to discuss the patch with Islamic authorities who administer a mosque complex on a broad plaza supported by the wall holy to Judaism.
We're still in the process of monitoring exactly what's happening with this wet patch. The exact reason for it at the moment is not clear, but by past experience, we would suggest that this is caused by some physical problem with one of the pipes or something like that.
Some who are devout see the moisture as a symbol of the wall weeping during a time of hardship. However, there is always hope of better times ahead. Many believe the letters delivered to God may be read with a sympathetic ear by the Creator.